Hello coders, hello. Hope you've had a great start to the week. Today we're going to be working on some documentation for the PHP course that I am creating. We have 6 lessons already documented, so from 1 to 6 already documented. This is using the code off of in here, and I'm going through each step. The documentation is going to be used for the recording, so when I actually record the course, I'll be writing these kind of things, right? I'll be going through this. So what I want to do today is, I really don't think I'm going to have a chance to finish the 10, so 7, 8 and 9 and 10, but I wouldn't mind just getting a crack on with lesson 7 and maybe lesson 8. If we can get 1 or 2 done today, that will be awesome. So where I'm at with this is, if we I suppose it would be easier if I was to show you in sort of in this mode. So let's see if we go into README and then go into lessons. Okay, so number 1, install the project. Number 2, build the login form. 3 is to build the secure area. 4 is to style the login form. 5 is to secure the area, style the secure area, I should say. 6 is to create PHP user config. So at this point we are here, and if I scroll to the top, we'll go from the top and I'll recap. So lesson notes: create a user config, add user array data, include user config, get a user, submit the login form, and display an error. So there's actually more involved than just dealing with the user config. User config in the code is this stuff in here. So you got an array here where you got the username and password and the user key, which is the array thing here. So in the create user config, why can't I click on that? Why isn't that working? Is that a bug? This should be lesson 6. Let's get rid of that for a minute, so I've got some room. Create user config should be lesson 6. Create user config. Yeah, why isn't that? It's jumping to there. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so yeah, this displays the project and create a user config.php in the config folder. So that is the, where are we? Config, yeah, there. Okay, so that displays that, and then we've got the next one, which is add user array data. So in config user config.php, add the following. Good stuff. Okay, this is a nested associative array where the first index user ID user underscore ID user underscore 2 is the user. That should be user 1 really. Let's change that. So what I'm going to be doing throughout this sort of stream is just sort of tidying what I've already done up, and so that should be user 1, and we'll put in a space. Yeah, tidying up what we're doing and then improving it. So is the user key. The user key has 2 elements: the username and the password will be used to log in. Okay. The next part will be to include the user config. So in common.php, which would be in here. Let's load that up for reference. Lesson 6. So in common.php, add the following: user config, include config user config.php. This will include the user config.php file and assigns the array to the variable user config. Okay, define the named constant user config in the common.php. So that is what we're doing, right? Let's just in common, that is what we're doing up here, right? User config, all the good things. Okay, so scrolling down, define the name constant using blah blah blah. Okay, what you will learn, we need to create a function that will return the user key of a given username and password. Okay, so this is where I start delving into a bit of TDD. So create a test, which is tests user test.php. Again, an example of where that lives is here. So if we go into tests, I've already created user test.php. Good. In the test file, add the following class. User test extends test case. Let's make sure that is the case. User test extends test case. Fine. This message, the method, that we will create will be called getUser. Create a failing test that checks that null. Let's put that into backticks here. That null is returned when blank credentials are passed. Okay, so what we want to do is create a test where we're putting in getUser. That would be the username, and that's the password. Run make tests. You'll get an error similar to this. Good. The error is happening for two reasons. The getUser method doesn't exist. The test file cannot access common.php. Add the following to common.php. So getUser, username and password string. The getUser method doesn't exist. Okay, add the following. I'm going to change that to be add the getUser method function. Actually, it's not a method. Let's change that to be function. Okay, so it just returns null. This method takes two strings, a username and password. It will be used, not user, used to identify a user from their login credentials. It will return the user key from the user config. If a user hasn't been found, the null will be returned. Okay, fine. Okay, currently this method is only returns. Currently this method only returns null, which is acceptable for our failing test. Okay, run the tests again. Make tests. This will still throw an error because the second issue hasn't been resolved. Okay, create the file tests bootstrap.php and add the following. Okay, let me just double check that's all in play. Required blah 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 blah. So this is in tests bootstrap, yeah. Tests bootstrap. Is that correct? Is that the same thing? Is that the same deal? Yes, it is. Okay, good. Yep. Okay, cool. So this bootstrap file will require the vendors will require the autoloader. Let's retype that. Will require the autoloader from vendor and our common.php file. Cool. Okay, to include this bootstrap file in our tests, open php.xml and change bootstrap equals vendor autoloader.php to bootstrap tests bootstrap.php. Let me triple check that is the case. I'm pretty sure it is. Otherwise, this wouldn't work. Where are we? Bootstrap tests bootstrap.php. Yep, that looks good to me. Good. Cool. Okay, so the test should now pass. Woo! Add another test to user test.php that checks for a correct username and password. I need to keep putting full stops in places. Okay, so test user with correct credentials, putting in the user key. That's what we want to return. That's the expected. And then that's what we're passing in. Here we're looking for the return of the user key that corresponds with the user, with the username of howtocodewell1 and the password of test HTCW. In this example, the function getUser should return the user key of user1. User key, yeah, okay. When rerunning make tests, you should get the following error. Failed asserting that null is identical to user1. Okay, cool. Good. To make the test pass, the body of getUser needs to be adjusted to find the correct user key. Okay, change the getUser function to look like this. For each user config, user key. I mean, I'll explain all this in the video, but as I type it. But that looks fine to me. Yep. Okay, here we're looping over the constant user config that we defined earlier and pulling out the user data. The user key holds the user key of each user. I'm going to use a key variable that I can't spell. I can never spell variable. Variable. Okay, so we need to check the supplied username against the user data username and the supplied password against the user data password. If both match, then we can return the user key. Okay, where have I said we should do once the login form is submitted, then we need to check the supplied. Yeah, that makes a bit more sense. After this change, right, what am I doing after this? Right, change common.php. All right, sorry. After changing common.php, rerun make tests. All tests should now pass. So far we have tested the correct details and empty details. Let's also test incorrect details. Okay, create the following tests. Fine with not valid. This test replicates submitting wrong credentials on the login form. This should be covered by the test that we created earlier. But can't spell, but it is always good. Typo in word. But it is always good. But it is always a good idea to capture different unhappy paths. Okay, rerun, blah blah blah. All tests should still pass. Cool. Okay, so right. This one now. Submit the form. Now all the tests are passing, we can call getUser when the form has been submitted. Open login.php and add update. What? And update the PHP code to look like this. Cool. There we go. Cool. Okay, here we are calling getUser when the form has been submitted. When has submitted is equal to true. The supplied username. Okay. Whoa. When? Hang on. There was a full stop there. When the form has been submitted. Okay. Oh right. Okay. No, I'm just. So yeah, that makes. Okay. There you go. The supplied username and password. The supplied username and password and what is passed to getUser, and the user key is returned if found. If the user is not found, the null is returned. Otherwise, the user key is returned. Well, I've kind of said that multiple times there, but anyway. Okay, so we can check if the user key is not null and set the session and set the session is not null. Set the session, set the session and redirect the user to the secured area. If the user key is null, then we can display an error on the page. All right, cool. So this one here is display an error when incorrect details are submitted. Alter login.php with the following. So this is the check, isn't it? So we've got if submitted session get user. It's this here, error. Error is null. Cool. Here we are setting an error message to error variable to the error variable. Can't spell it again. If user key is null. Variable. Okay, is null. We can display the error message on the page like so. Okay, fine. Update the main CSS to add the following alert. Error class. Okay, make tests to make sure everything is okay, and then run the web server. Try logging in with the correct and incorrect details, and that is lesson 6. So really, it's a little bit more than create PHP user config. Hey, AK, thanks for joining. Great username, by the way, AK, short and sweet. So maybe I should change that. What was lesson 7? What was that supposed to be? Lesson 7 was supposed to be create the PHP order config. Lesson 8, handle the user login. Kind of already done that. So maybe we should change this to be, well, the next lesson is going to be around, like, where are we at on this? We've done the CSS and we've built the login form, essentially. Maybe I should just call it build login form as the lesson title. It's all up for debate at the minute. So do we create the login form here? No, we don't, because that is actually done on lesson 2. I reckon I should call this handle login. And I think what I need to do as well, there's handle login on, like, there. We should change it to be user login. Lesson 8 is where I was going to do all this, but in fact a lot of this is done in lesson 6. So whether that means we can get rid of lesson 8 or whether we can use lesson 8 for something else, maybe we'll just leave it there for a minute. So in index on lesson 6, this is now going to be changed to be handle user login. Okay, so lesson 7 then is to create the PHP config. Now I've got a feeling I reckon that this should be handle session. Yeah, I'm going to put in handle session. Handle sessions on lesson 8. Handle sessions. Okay, so back to lesson 6 then. After 6, we've got lesson... Well, I need to fill this out, don't I? Document what will be learnt. Okay, so what will be learnt in this would be... is it bullet points as I've done on the other ones? Yeah, it is. Okay. So in this lesson, creating associative arrays. Accessing posted values. Posted form values. Oh yeah. TDD. Associated. No, it's not associated. Ugh, I can never spell it. Let's just do asocerays for a minute. Get user, submit login form, handle the display error. So this is all config stuff. Oh yeah, there was another one, wasn't there? Configure. Configuring PHP unit. Okay. Right. So, lesson 7 then needs to be around the order config, which is very similar to the start of this lesson 6, because with lesson 6 we were talking about adding the config to the file. That would be like order config, and then including it in. So let me just see how that stands. If we go to the order config, that is what it looks like. Okay, and then in common, which is down in here, we would need to link to that again, so very similar. Okay. In terms of the user, okay, let me just make sure that there's no other user methods that I need to deal with first before I jump into the orders. So we got the get user. That was the main one that we played with. There was also let's get user key, but I'll do that when we get to the session part. Let's get user name. That returns get user key. You can't do this until we've done that. Okay, fair enough. We can't do logout either because that's on succession. That would be in lesson 8. Okay, fine. So in terms of the orders, then it's just this one, get orders, passing in the username. So we could mock something up there in terms of a test, because we've got, if we go into order tests here, we have get orders passing in a blank username. That would return null, and then we've also got with a correct username, so that would return an array. Okay, so there are some things that we can play with in terms of testing. That's fine. So, okay, there's not much difference in terms of what to do. It's just setup, really. Okay, let's make this quick, shall we? In lesson 6. So let's. I guess what we could do, let's just copy all of it for a minute from the index. Lesson 7. Actually, no, let's not do that. Let's just copy the bits we need. Otherwise, that's going to get too messy. So yeah, we'll put that in. That's how you spell associative. Right, let's copy that, put it into lesson 7, go into that view. Okay, so what I want to do, let's get rid of that for a second. Lesson notes, create order config. Come on. So that would be less than 7. Create order config. Add user array data. Add order array data. It's going to be very similar. So that's order config. That is order config. And down in here, where we've got user config, we need another one. And surprise, surprise, it's called order config. Okay, so that would be less than 7 now. Let's just get rid of that for a sec. Less than 7, that would be order config. Add the following, we'll deal with that in a minute. Right, so the following would be in here. Less than 7. Create, add order array data. Add the following. Okay, cool. So that should now be all wired up. It is. Next one. What was the next one for lesson 6? Or lesson 6. Lesson 6. Scroll up to the top. It was this one. Lesson 7. Okay, so this is now going to be include order config. Okay, so we go back to lesson 6. Including of the order config. This is a nested associative array where the first index is, okay, we should probably put that in as well. Let's just grab all of that and put that into here. Oops. Come on, copy it. Come on, why am I not able to copy this? What? No, come on. Right. I've had to put it in the cut. There we go. Right. Right. This is a nested associative array where the first index is. Well, that's not okay. That's not the case. That's not the case, is it? It's the user. That's the thing. Okay, let me just get rid of that for a sec so I can actually read this whole thing. In command up here. So that's include order. Yeah, add the following. That should be order. And that should be order like so, and that should be order config, and that's order config, and that's order config. Cool. This will include the order config file and assigns the array to the variable order config. Okay, cool. Good stuff. This is a nested associative array, which it is. Okay. This is a nested associative array of arrays. Okay, each sub-array has a username element that corresponds that to a is it a user key or not? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Is it? No, it's not. Has a user element that corresponds to a username. Cool. That's looking better. Like that. The user key. No. Okay. Okay. There is also an items array which holds the order items for that user. Okay, in common.php add the following. I better check all this. So if we go to common.php, yep, that's looking all good. That's looking all good. Define the named constant user config in common.php. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, so once we have that in play, if we went back to 6, what happens after this? Get a user. Okay. And then it goes straight into the tests. Okay, so we'll do something similar. All right, we'll do something similar. So we'll do get orders or something daft. All right, let me just copy that. You are going to let me copy that, aren't you? Keyboard. Thank you. Okay, so this is get orders for a given user. And this is less than 7. Get orders for a given user. That is the title of this chunk. Lesson 7.markdown hash get orders for a given user. Okay, good. So we need to create a function that will return the orders for a given user. Create tests order test.php, which is here. Cool. And then in lesson 6 we talk about in the following class. Okay, cool. Right. I'll just grab that for a sec. Lesson 7, put that in, and so you've called it orders test. Orders test. Orders test. Okay, we'll keep it as is. Orders test. Orders test. Yep. Why is that not working? Can't resolve what you will learn. Oh, it's no, it should be what you will learn. It should be there. Hey. I'll deal with that in a minute. Once all this is written up, I will be going through it all again with a fine-tooth comb. Plus, I'm going to be doing it from scratch, the whole course from start to finish on a Ubuntu machine and then a Windows machine, so I can fill in any gaps that I've missed along the way. So, okay, right. So we need to create a blank test file, right? So, whoops, sorry. So we'll get rid of you. We'll get rid of you. Okay, give me a second. What's the time? 18:40. Okay, we got a bit of time. We'll finish this off, and then I'll call it at night. I'm going to grab a takeout, I think, tonight. So we'll run through this. Okay, so this is our test file, and if we were following the convention, so the method that we will need to be. It's not a method though. I should stop calling it a method. The method that we will create, it should be the function, because we're not doing any object orientation. Okay, right. I think I just copy that, and then I'll just. Okay, the function that we will create will be called getOrders. Create a failing test first that checks that null is returned when let's fill this out. The function that we will create will be called getOrders. This will return the orders of a given username, full stop. Okay, so create a failing test that what are we doing? What are we actually doing here? Are we returning like a blank array? Null. No, we're returning null. So it returns null. Yeah, so that's basically what we want to test here. Okay. All right. So lesson 7. So create a failing test. Create a failing test that checks that null is returned when an incorrect username is supplied. Okay, so in what did I call it? Yeah, orders test.php. Add the following test. It's not Angular. So orders test. So get orders with empty username. That's what we want to do. Copy you. Lesson 7. Okay. Whoops. So we're going to get a similar output to... we haven't created the method yet, have we? So I tell you what, I could probably run this myself, right? So if we go into the terminal... excuse me. So make tests, for instance, we'll make test. Huh? What? Oh, I need to be in the project. Excuse me. Okay, do we have make test unit just to do the units? Okay, so if we were to mimic this failing test right now, if we were to comment out that and yeah, if we were to do so we've got the order config in common, and we were to comment that out, and then if we were to do make, or if we were to do this, yes, this is what we've got. This is what we've got. Good. So in lesson 7, right, run, make test. So after running make test, you should see the following error. 1, 2, 3. You should see the following error. Yep. There we go. Okay. This is because the get orders function hasn't been created yet. Good. Okay, right, so let's go back to all the things and uncomment all those. Common as well. Copy that in lesson 6. Okay. In common.php, create the following function. Stop calling it method. 1, 2, 3. PHP. Okay, we're gonna just return null. It just takes a string and returns null. Okay. Whoa, why have I put it there? Hang on. Too many windows going on. What have I done? Oh, shoot. That needs to be in lesson 7. Right, in common.php, create the following. Yeah, create the following. Create the following get. Get orders function. Okay, then run make test again, and the tests should pass. Okay, now we need to return the correct. Now we need to return the correct order for a given user name. So what we need to do is to create a failing test that should return an array of order items. Where is this? This is in orders test, in orders test.php. Create the following failing test. 1, 2, 3 PHP. So the following failing test in orders tests would be this one here. So we want to assert that it is an array, but in fact it is going to be null because we're just returning null. That's our failing test. Okay. Okay, so create a failing test that should return an array of order items. In orders test.php, create the following failing test. Or maybe I should just create the following failing test. Failing test in orders test.php. That should return an array of order items for the user name, for the user with the username of how to code well 2. Cool. All right. Okay, so then run make tests again, and notice the error. The following error. Notice a similar error. Right. So that similar error would be the fact that we've got this. Sorry, jumping about again. So if we go, so that's all in play, but the thing that we need to do is in common. We need to still return this as null. There we go. So in that case, let's run. Hang on a minute. Do it from here. Terminal. Run it again. In where are we? Lesson 7. 1, 2, 3. PHP. Boom. Boom. Okay. Okay. Okay, that's cool. Run make tests and notice a similar error, a similar failure output, failure message. Okay. To fix the test, we must update the body of get orders to find the correct order of the given username. All right, fine. Right, okay. Add the following to, or instead of add the following, update the get orders function in common.php. Good. Right, so that now should look like that. Woo! Here. Okay. Cool. So, let's explain it. This loops over the order config array and looks for the user key that matches the supplied username variable. If a match is found, then the order is returned. Okay, if no matches are found, then null is returned. Sorry, chat. Sorry. Yes, this is hey Mohammed, hey Ahmed. Yes, this is for this is a training exercise for my latest the next course that I'm doing. So when you get the course, you'll get this, and basically this is like my recording notes as well. So I will be, I'll be saying these things, obviously in an edited manner, but I'll also be doing this on the screen, and it teaches, like, you know, TDD and variable. I can't never spell variable, and I'm a programmer. Dyslexia, I love it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's basically it. These are files for training. So yeah, so alongside the project, which is this, you'll also get the documentation. So for every lesson there is going to be a documentation like this, and this will be my kind of like a script that I'm going to be following when I actually do the recording. So there'll be 10 tutorials. At the current, there's going to be 10 tutorials. There might be more or might be less. We're on lesson 7 at the moment, and I'm hoping to get all of this documented by sort of the end of the year, and then do the recording. And this is kind of like the first pass. There's going to be 3 passes of the documentation. First pass is just to write it from start to finish. The code is already there, so all of the code works. And it's tested using like PHP Stan, PHP Unit, and other things like that, coding standards and such. The second pass will be to use the documentation to rebuild the course from scratch using Ubuntu. I'm on a Mac here, so using Ubuntu to make sure that I haven't screwed anything up. And then the last pass will be to do the same thing, rebuilding it from scratch using the documentation, but from a Windows machine. That way I can fit in any gaps, anything that I've missed. I'm reviewing it, 3 times I'm reviewing the documentation. And then once that's done, I'll then move into doing the recording. So it's there's a lot of work when I do these courses. A lot of work's involved. Okay, so lesson 7. Here we go. Get orders. This loops over the order config and looks for. Excuse me, my dog has just walked in. Hello. My dog's just... Murphy's just coming to say hello. You alright? You alright? Murphy? Yes, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. Get down. There you go. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah, I'll be out there in a minute. Bear with me a minute, guys. Yeah, I'll be out there in a minute. Good boy. He's like, where are you? Where are you? Where's my food? Yeah, I need to shoot off after this lesson is done. We're nearly there. Just a little bit more, especially around PHP Stan. So this loops over the order config array and looks for the user key that matches the supplied username variable. If a match is found, then the order is returned. If no matches are found, then null is returned. Okay, cool. Now, I know out of experience that if I was to say, rerun the tests again, it will fail. But, okay, rerun, make test, and notice another error. Let's just do that. Because I haven't said put anything to do with that up there. So there is a PHP Stan error, I'm sure. With PHP Stan, we're at level 9, which is the highest you can get. And I believe there is an error when I did the order common, and I didn't supply the shape of the array. So we're just going to get rid of this for a second and put that in my clipboard, and then I'm going to just run make tests again. There should be an error. He says, yeah, there is. Cool. Yeah, so I'm going to put that back, and then I'm going to copy this. So it would be... there. Okay, so in lesson 6, let's just make a little bit of lesson 7, Pete. It's lesson 7. Come on, you did lesson 6 the other night. So rerun make tests, and notice another an error with PHP Stan. One, two, three. PHP. Well, it's not PHP, is it? It's Bash. But okay, who's counting? SH. Come on. On the clipboard still? Yep. Alright, so I'm gonna just do bring that back to there. Okay. This error is due this error happens because we are dynamically I can't spell. Are we doing it dynamically? We are trying to access array elements without, not within, without defining the shape of the returned array. To fix this error, add the following as a PHP doc block. Add the following PHP doc block to the get orders function in common.php. Yes, my phone is lighting up like, come on. I do need to shoot PHP. I need to shoot off and get my dinner. PHP, paste that in. No, that's the wrong thing. Where are we? Common. Yes. In lesson 7. There we go. Right, the return part of the doc block defines the shape of the array with the array with the sub with the nested array keys. Rerun, make test, rerun, make test. All tests should pass. Cool. I'm going to leave it there. I will review this after dinner, but I think we're pretty much there on lesson 6, which I'm rather happy about. Let's put that into there. Yeah, I'm rather happy about that. I think that's looking relatively good. So we did create order, config, add order array data, include get orders for a given user. That's the big bit. That's the biggie bit. But it's got to the point where we are. Let's have a look at this just quickly in this view for a sec. So that's cool. That's cool. Back to top. Okay, that's good. After running make test, you should see the following error. This is because the get orders function hasn't been created yet. In common.php, create the following get orders function. Run make test again. Run make test again. Right, yeah, so there's a lot of grammar that I need to fix up, but I think it's getting there. I really do need to shoot off, but I will review this and yeah, like lesson notes is in there twice and all of that stuff. That's probably why it's screwing up. I can't leave that. Let's sort that out. Lesson notes, get rid of that. Right, so yeah, I will finish this off later on, but thank you ever so much for joining the struggle. I count the amount of times that I can't spell variable and things like that. Nuts. And then hopefully we'll get lesson 8 and 9 and 10 done, and then I'll go through it again as I mentioned. And I think when I get to the point of doing it with Ubuntu and Windows, I will do that on the stream as well, and I'll follow the guide that I'm creating here. Anyway, I need to dive off, grab my dinner, but thank you ever so much for watching. Happy coding, everyone, and I'll see you again on Thursday at 8 o'clock for the next podcast. Take care, everyone. Cheers. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.